Man, after being tainted, I think that's a good word for it, tainted by the disastrous EA E3 press conference, just I couldn't scrub off that cringe, but Microsoft, the Xbox team, came down and cured my ailments. I think I'm gonna call you Phil the Cleanser Spencer, because you did me a solid, Phil. Xbox came out swinging with games at their show and did not stop. I want to talk about as many as I can, so let's jump right into this. The show kicked off with, well, I wasn't sure for a good while, until we saw the man himself, Master Chief. The rumors, the leaks were true. Halo Infinite is a real thing. They didn't really talk about the game, just gave us this tease. The Infinite title definitely piques my curiosity. Spencer did say when he came out that this was a Master Chief adventure. But after Halo 5, it's hard for me, honestly, to get excited about this series, so hopefully they breathe new life into it with this one. Then we got a fairly solid look at Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Beautiful, as you can see. These indie games killing it is quickly becoming a trend of this E3 for me. Indie games were really the only standouts for me at EA's presser, and there were several in this one as well. But I don't know if any looked as good as this did. If you haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest, you really owe it to yourself to get on that. Shadows Die Twice, or should I say, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. The new From Software game made its debut here. From Software plus Samurais, I don't know, do we really need to know much else? Seems like this will have an emphasis on verticality. We saw your character has like a grappling hook and can zip around and use it to get the drop on enemies. I have high hopes for that. You can never have too many Souls games in my opinion.
You're drinking beer?
I don't need a lecture from my son.
I always get picked last for the team at school, and they never throw the ball to me.
They're still making games in the Life is Tumblr universe apparently, so that's a shame.
And they never throw the ball to me.
Crackdown 3, you want to talk about a loss of interest? I like the Crackdown games fine, but this has been a focal point of Xbox conferences for so long at this point. Just keeps getting delayed and delayed. By the time it does come out next year, I don't know if I'll care. This is a situation where Game Pass will work out, I think, for Microsoft, though, as I probably would pass on this game since it's coming to Game Pass. I'll at least check it out. But yeah, hype-wise, this one has depreciated greatly for me. And this was followed by another game that's suffered some delays that we've been waiting for a very long time. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a big get for the Xbox One. Massive amounts of anticipation for this. I'm dying to play it myself. We got a fantastic new trailer for it. And yeah, again, there's that new delay into 2019, which sucks, I'll admit. But I do not put this in a Crackdown 3 realm where it's like, oh, my hype is depleted. And I've seen a lot of people on social media saying that, like, oh, this delay killed the game for me. Personally, I think they could delay this game till 2025 and the hype would still be real. But yeah, it's great that Xbox players will be able to get in on this. I wish they'd release the remastered sets on the Xbox, though. Seems kind of weird that you're only going to be able to jump in on this with Kingdom Hearts 3 when there is the 1.5 and the 2.5, the 2.8. But yeah, even though I've played those games on PlayStation consoles, having an Xbox One X, I'll likely be getting the Xbox version, as it will probably be the best version. You know, when you have the most powerful console, that's the one I'm going to buy it on. We got a little tease for the upcoming No Man's Sea DLC, free DLC to be clear. I hope these end up being big additions. I really do. Said it from the very start. Love this game at a base level, but it's so barren. Needs more, needs a lot more. We're surely getting more AI threats like the skeleton crews they teased on the sea, which that is an area the game desperately needs to improve on. More reasons to do ship combat. I have played the Hungering Deep Megalodon encounter that they dropped recently. It was fun, but it was short. Just not nearly enough going on in this game as things are, but, you know, we'll see. There was a clip, thankfully very short clip, for Battlefield V. What's the V for again? I don't remember. Anyway, Not too intrusive, which is about all I can ask for. I was worried when this started that I was going to have to see all the in-engine footage that we saw at EA's presser, but that wasn't the case, thank God. Forza Horizon 4 got probably the most in-depth look of any game. This one's totally not for me. I need more wackiness in my racing games, the Mario Kart 8 type deal. Not really into Sims though. But I will say, having said that, I perked up when that hovercraft stormed into frame. Like, what the hell was that about? Obviously, this title has some of the sweetest graphics around, and I'll give it to them on that seasonal stuff. It was cool seeing essentially the same area under the different season conditions, and this had more car porn than I think anybody can handle. Again, though, I might not really be drawn to this type of game. Typically, not something I would buy, but it's going to be on Game Pass, so it would be stupid for me to not at least check it out. And when they had all the cars like sliding around on the frozen lake, I'll admit it looked kind of fun. Then Phil Spencer came back on to talk about some studio acquisitions. Some new studios they've picked up. Some I actually already thought they owned. I thought they owned Undead Labs and Playground Games, but they also added to the roster the likes of Ninja Theory, which that one caught me off guard. Really solid pickup. As well as Compulsion Games, the creators of We Happy Few. As I've said, the Xbox team has been working on that course correction since the disastrous launch of the Xbox One. And while things are turning around, the big complaint still has revolved around games, the exclusives, really. And picking up these studios, I think, is a power play for the next gen. I expect Xbox to hit the ground running hard in this department when their next system drops, which was sort of teased in this presentation. Spencer mentioned the teams working on future Xbox consoles. I wouldn't expect anything too soon, but still, sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we start hearing about new consoles come 2019. And these announcements led rather smoothly into a trailer for We Happy Few. I do like the look, the presentation of this game. Kind of has a BioShock vibe, which I dig. And that was followed by a PUBG trailer, which, honestly, who cares at this point? Sorry guys, I know this game has its fans, but with this title already losing so much market share to Fortnite, and the wave of AAA games like Call of Duty and Battlefield about to launch with their own Battle Royale modes, I'm sorry, I think this game's days are numbered, and that number is small. Then you want to talk about a surprise for the Xbox stage, the Tales series. Again, on the Xbox stage. Yeah, they've been on the systems in the past, this game even in particular, but it's good to see them beefing up, putting some emphasis on those offerings that cater to that Japanese crowd. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition looked great, and is a multi-platform title and will be on the Switch for my Nintendo boys out there, so keep that in mind, Switch people. You can play this. This led into the one blight, I'd say, on this presentation. It was pretty free from cringe, especially for being so long. But this Division 2 gameplay... First of all, after Division 1, I couldn't care less about this game. I don't see how you could care about this. And this gameplay showcase was complete with the tactical talk. It was rough. This part was tough to watch.
Don't aggro him yet.
Let me adjust my build.
Got my crossbow and chem launcher. Get that weak point.
Oh crap, snap, watch out. Setting my drone. Looks like a rough landing.
Then there was a trailer for the next 1,000 Ways to Kill a Woman simulator, starring Lara Croft. Eager to see what we can put our girl through this time around. Seriously though, Crystal Dynamics has been doing a great job with these games, I think. Building on and getting better with each new Tomb Raider title. Hope this one is no exception. I can't remember, was there anyone asking for a Skate 4 to be at E3? So many hopes and dreams raised and then crushed by the realization that this was not, in fact, Skate 4. It's actually called Session, and the studio behind it's been having a little bit of fun with the whole Skate 4 thing on social media. Who knows? While it's not Skate 4 in name, this one could be it in spirit. Then Capcom got me with their big trailer. So good. Did exactly as they probably intended with me. New Devil May Cry, but the trailer had a very DMC looking vibe, to the point where I thought this was actually going to be a DMC 2 and not a Devil May Cry 5. Now, I believe the only substantial criticism over DMC was the character redesign of Dante. So even though I was getting the DMC vibes, I was loving the gameplay stuff I was seeing, but that hype was put over the edge when I saw the actual Devil May Cry 5 logo, and then we had classic Dante right onto the screen. Super excited for that. And more indie stuff, like I said, killing it. We may have only gotten new DLC for Cuphead, but when it comes to this game, I will take whatever I can get. New playable character, new island with more boss fights, totally in for that. Then that was followed by something I think is really needed for this platform, a very welcome addition. A little bit of Zelda. Tunic is taking, we'll say, heavy inspiration from the classic Nintendo franchise, replacing our beloved Tunic-wearing Link with a fox. Really enjoyed the unique, cutesy art style. The presentation obviously plays very much like the more classic Zelda games. I'll be checking this one out for sure. Once more, can't stress enough, indies blowing it out this E3.
They have begun to merge as one. And our last hope are the heroes we could only imagine.
Top 10 anime fights, anyone? Bandai Namco is going hard with their latest mashup of anime icons: Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, freaking Death Note. Your favorites, they're all here. The visuals in this look incredible. I would expect something like this to be a little more cartoony. They're really turning up that graphical quality on this one for sure. And that name, Jump Force, love it. Dying Light 2 made a pretty big splash at the show as well. Probably the second deepest look of all these games. We got an intricate breakdown of their focus on choice and allowing players to sort of, shape the world with their in-game decisions. We've heard a lot of that before. Don't know how crazy that whole deal will actually end up being, but I will say the original Dying Light was one of those games that was better than it probably should have been, certainly better than I would have thought. Essentially Mirror's Edge, but in the zombie apocalypse, and they had the weapon-making combination mechanic, kind of like Dead Rising. And add on top of all that, the whole game was playable with co-op. Even if this is just more of the same, I'm in. Then there was the first game of the show that made me do a little bit of fangirling. I might have screamed, just ever so slightly on stream. Battletoads, making the comeback. I said I'd be down for anything related to classic Rare IPs, and this is not one I would have expected. We really didn't see anything for the game, unfortunately, but they did say 2.5D, so seems like it will play like a traditional Battletoads game. They made it a point to stress the couch co-op, which I would have expected, but with it being kind of a dying feature these days, it's nice to see. Definitely super hyped for this one. And keep them coming, Microsoft. The people want Banjo-Kazooie. And man, Microsoft is going hard in the paint with Gears of War. We're going to get the Funko Pop-themed mobile game that I know every single fan of the series has been clamoring for. A new strategy game, which is a good genre if you didn't know. As well as Gears 5, which looked great. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the current cast of characters, but I thought Gears of War was a good game. They showed a fairly wide variety of environments and cool new enemy designs. As long as it has Horde mode, I can dig it. Yeah, so many games, I didn't even cover them all. And just as Phil returned once more to close us out, he was interrupted by one more game. Kind of a big one. Finally, we got to see more of Cyberpunk 2077. Now, before I take flack for what I'm about to say, let me make it clear. I have no worries about this game. I'm very intrigued by the world they set up here, and with it being CD Projekt Red, I'm sure this will be a game of the generation contender. But I wanted some gameplay. After all these years of waiting, I thought we'd get something more substantial out of this look at Cyberpunk 2077. Again, what they did show looked great. No one's going to argue that, but I wanted to see the actual game. This didn't negatively affect my hype for this title. I'm not trying to say anything like that, but it just didn't do as much for me as I think it did for many others. Please be gentle with your pitchforks in the comments. And geez, yeah, that sure was a lot. Essentially, Microsoft looked at what EA did with their conference and said, yeah, we're going to do that, but like the opposite. Just a barrage of games hitting us in the face. Yes, there were a lot of multi-platform ones, but they had some exclusives too. This felt like the true kickoff of the show. I can't wait to see what we have in store from everyone else. And with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on the Xbox E3 briefing in the comments. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.